together with my partner Jima Delhero, and we will discussing about computer security policy. In this chapter, we'll explain security policies, which are the basis of security for the technology infrastructure of your company. In a way, they are the regulatory of behaviors of your employees towards the use of technology in the workplace that can minimize risk of being hacked, information leak, internet bad usage, and it also ensures safeguarding of company resources. In real life, you will notice the employees of your organization will always tend to click on bad or virus infected URLs or email attachment with viruses. What is computer security policy? Computer security policy is a set of protocols that a user or organization establishes for their computers. It typically includes intrusion, detection, firewall setups, user access passwords, logins, and procedure for using certain hardware and software application. The type of computer security policy used can vary widely for different business and home computer networks. An organization information technology department is usually responsible for determining and setting up a computer security policy. The department must establish a set of protocols concerning user-level access. For instance, some users may be granted permission to certain software functions and packages that others are not. In some cases, certain types of access are restricted for all employees. A common example is that computer users in most places of business are prevented from visiting certain websites that contain objectionable material or allow a worker to conduct personal business while at work. External security is a vital component or any policy model. Encryption method and private network may be employed to prevent unwanted access. In addition, a computer security policy may be also establish firewalls and individual security settings. Part of a computer security policy specifies how data is able to be stored and transferred between users. Some protocols allow data to be transferred from a user's individual's workstation to an external drive or uploaded as an email attachment. Other policies may be restricted to privilege and only allow users to share data in a common network folder. Remote access to certain programs and network folders be permitted with certain login credentials. Computer security policy determines how users can access the internet and programs that send data over it, such as email and instant messaging. It is fairly common for a computer security policy to grant access and usage to some of these programs to certain users while restricting others. For example, in a call center, higher level positions that require a greater amount of communication may need access to these tools, while lower level agents who primarily take inbound calls would find them distracting. Some companies employ a blanket policy and only grant access to managerial staff. Disaster recovery policy. Disaster recovery policies are sometimes a part of a formal computer security protocol. Most of this area of security has to do with backup storage and who can access certain data in the event of natural disaster that wipe out complete system. Planning for viral infections or server crashes can also affect data backup policies. An organization's information technology department will usually be responsible for designing recovery plans, assigning points of contacts and responsibilities, and educating users in the workplace about what to do to prepare for such events. Role of the security policy in setting protocols. Following are pointers which help in setting up protocols for security policy of an organization. Who should have access to the system? How it should be configured? How to communicate with third parties or systems. Policies are divided into two categories, which are user policies, IT policies.
User policies. User policies generally define the limit of the users towards the computer resources in a workplace. For example, what are they allowed to install in their computer if they can use a movable storage? IT policies. IT policies are designed for IT department to secure the procedures and function of the IT. General policies. The general policies. This is the policy which defines the rights of the staff and access level to the systems. Generally, it is included even in the communication protocol as a preventive measure in case there are any disasters. Server policies. The server policies. This defines who should have access to the specific server and with what right, which softwares should be installed, level of access to internet, how they should be updated. Firewall access and configuration policies. It defines who should have access to the firewall and what types of access, like monitoring, roles change, which ports and service should be allowed, and if it should be inbound or outbound. Backup policies. Backup policies. It defines who is the responsible person for backup. What should be the backup? Where it should be backup? How long it should be kept and the frequency of the backup. VPN policies. VPN policies. These policies generally go with the firewall policy. It defines those users should have a VPN access and with what right for site-to-site connection with partners. It defines the access level of the partner to your network, type of encryption to the visit, structure of a security policy. When you compile a security policy, you should have in mind a basic structure in order to make something practical. Some of the main points which have to be taken into consideration are: first, description of the policy and what is the usage for, where this policy should be applied, function and responsibilities of the employees that are affected by this policy, procedures that are involved in this policy, consequences if the policy is not compatible with company standards. Types of policies. In this section, we will see the most important type of policies. First, permissive policy. Permissive policy. It is a medium restriction policy where we as an administrator block just some well-known ports of malware regarding internet access and just some exploits are taken in consideration. Prudent policy. This is the high restriction policy where everything is black regarding the internet access. Just the smallest of websites are allowed, and no extra services are allowed in computers to be installed, and logs are maintained for every user. Third, acceptance user policy. Acceptance user policy. This policy regulates the behavior of the users towards a system or network or even a web page. So, it is explicitly said what a user can do and cannot in a system. Like, are they allowed to share access codes? Can they share resources? And etc. User account policy. User account policy. This policy defines what a user should do in order to have or maintain another user in a specific system. Information protection policy. Information protection policy. This policy is to regulate access to information, to how to process information, how to store, and how it should be transferred. Remote access policy. Remote access policy. This policy is mainly for big companies where the user and their branches are outside their headquarters. It tells what should be the user's access, when they can work, and on which softwares like SSH, VPN, and RDP. Firewall management policy. The firewall management policy, this policy has explicitly to do with this each management, which ports should be blocked, what updates should be taken, how to make changes in the firewall, and how long should be the logs be kept. Special access policy. Special access policy. This policy is intended to keep people under control and monitor the special privilege in their systems and the purpose as to what they have it. These employees can be team leaders, managers, senior managers, system administrators, and such high designation-based people. Network policy. Network policy. This policy is to restrict the access of anyone towards the network resource and make clear who all will access the network. It will also ensure whether the person should be authenticated or not. This policy also includes other aspects like who will authorize the new devices that will be connected with network, the documentation of network changes, wave filters, and the levels of access, who should have wireless connection, and the type of authentication, validity of connection session. Email usage policy. Email usage policy. This is one of the most important policy that should be done because many users use the work email for personal purposes as well. As a result, information can leak outside. Some of the key points of this policy are the employees should know the importance of this system that they have the privilege to use. They should not open any attachment that looks suspicious. Private and confidential data should not be sent via any encrypted email. Software security policy. Software security policy. This policy has to do with the softwares installed in the user computer and what they should have. Some of the key points of this policy are: software of the company should be given to third parties. Only the website list of softwares should be allowed. No other softwares should be installed in the computer, whereas as pirated software should not be allowed.